We are a people at war. Last night, Syria, F-16s and F-18s. The U.S. launched an airstrike on Iranian-backed militias. These militias have been firing rockets for several days. We have warned Iran. 12 American soldiers have been hurt with traumatic brain injury. Iran told us yesterday, before the launch, that America is not safe and will feel the, quote, fire of the Islamic fury. Hamas was in Russia yesterday, meeting at top levels with the Russian government. We are a world at war. Right now, we are not fully engaged with armies and navies, not yet. We may soon be at a world war, a war with the entire world in flames. But that's not the war we're fighting yet. I feel so strongly in a feeling I have never had before. This is the moment of individual choosing. We are at war with deceit and lies, confusion, chaos. This Middle Eastern thing is not over territory. It is good versus evil. And I want to make it really clear. I am not putting the United States of America in the good pile. I don't know who we are anymore. I know who we can be, who we should be, and who we need to be. But we have been fighting evil here for decades now, and we didn't realize it. And we were so fat with wealth and everything else that we allowed it to happen. Our people, our families, our churches, almost every institution has been beaten down, and much of it lay in rubble. This was just the softening of the ground before the war. The war is yet to come. I was overwhelmed in the last few days of something, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And yesterday, I felt we were crossing a threshold. And this is a very short window where you and your family have to wake up and choose who you and your family will be. I mean, audibly choose. Let me share an essay that I read today, an op-ed. A day after Jewish college kids found it necessary to barricade themselves in a library at the center of Greenwich Village while a mob of repugnant terrorist lovers banged on locked doors trying to get at them, the message is being broadcast that on this Sabbath, Jews in Brooklyn had better remain at home, stay inside, lock the doors. A pro-Palestinian protest is scheduled for 3 p.m. Saturday in front of the Brooklyn Museum. That's a mile from 770 Eastern Parkway. That's the headquarters of the largest ultra-Orthodox sect in the world. Roughly 20,000 observant Jews live around 770 in the neighborhood called Crown Heights. Jews should definitely avoid the area. An ultra-Orthodox news site called CO Live. Security source has advised them, the local Jewish Self-Defense Association, to avoid the area at all cost. There's no intel at this time in which direction of the protest, in which direction it will head. Locals should definitely stay away from Eastern Parkway in that area. Well, the Jews of Brooklyn feel that they're at risk. And here's what they feel today. They cannot be protected. On the Sabbath, observant Jews don't use electricity or vehicles or screens, so they are locked out of information. And to pass the time on Sabbath afternoon, they do what in a way, what we used to do when there were blue laws. You'd go for a Sunday drive. They often go for a long walk, but not this weekend. As a security source said, after all, who knows which direction the mob will go? We know which direction the mob will go. Better for the Jews to stay inside. Just as it became a matter of life and death for them to stay inside back in 1991, in the very same neighborhood. What everybody is afraid of is a repeat of August 1991. Crown Heights that year. A 3-day anti-Jewish riot followed a tragic automobile accident that took the life of a 7-year-old black child after he was hit by a car being driven by a Hasidic Jew. Not only were 38 Jews beaten, 7 Jewish-owned businesses were looted and burned to the ground. "Let's go get a Jew," the mob chanted. And they did. They murdered an Australian doctoral student named Yankel Rosenbaum, stabbing him and then smashing his skull. At Cooper Union in Greenwich Village just a couple of days ago, the kids barricaded inside for their own safety, saw members of the pro-terror group mob glaring at them through the glass doors and pounding on the windows. Those kids heard taunts from outside, and they knew, as every Jew knows down to their multi-millennial marrow, that any one of them at any moment could become Yankel Rosenbaum. Stay inside, bar the doors, hide. Why do you think the marchers are meeting near Crown Heights? Because they know. Their purpose isn't to call a ceasefire or to advocate for the Palestinian people. Their purpose is to make it known what October 7th made known. There will be no peace or security for any Jew anywhere in the world if they don't get their way. And God help the Jews if they do. And rather than feeling certain that the NYPD will protect them, they're learning the lesson American Jews have almost never felt the need to learn. Stay inside. Mind the mob. The monsters are here. Hide. That's what happened in 1991. For 2 days after the car accident, the cops did almost nothing except stand by due to the orders of a feckless and foolish mayor and his spineless police commissioner. Unless, that is, they tried to intervene to help people and were beaten themselves. More than 100 police officers were injured during this program. In the end, thousands of cops were finally committed to the effort and the riot ended. So eventually did the feckless mayor's career. In 2023, 3 weeks after Jews in Israel were set upon by marauders who murdered 1,400 people and injured nearly 3 times that many. In cities all around the world, now in New York, the Jews outside Israel are under attack as never before in recent history, rather than finding themselves protected as never before. No, they must once again hide. Like Anne Frank, trapped for 2 years in an attic because any outdoor public breath would mean capture and death. Captured anyway because someone in the house below the attic ratted the Frank family out. Stay inside. This op-ed writer says, "In my 62 years of life, I have thought every day of the blessings America has been to the Jewish people, a blessing unlike any of my people have ever known. And in this city, the most Jewish city in the world outside of Israel, has been a blessing as well. But at this moment, the Jews had better hide. I cannot tell you how terrifying this is." If I were to accomplish one thing in my life, if I were to do only one thing in my career. It would be to plead with you to remember who you are, to remember that God loves all of his children, that he wants all of us back with him, even those that are so misguided that they are shouting for the gassing of Jews, that we could somehow or another find the leaders in this country, find the priests and the pastors and the rabbis that will actually stand together, that will inspire us to take the blows and not strike back, but to fight hatred with love, but with courage. No other story matters today. I just went through the 60, 70 stories in my show prep, and they're all so important. But no other story truly matters today. This is the one thing that could change the course of our country, change the course of our spiritual nature as a country. Everything that is important eternally is wrapped up in this op-ed I just read. Our souls and the souls of our children, the future of our civilization is at stake today. And today is the day that you must choose. It's going to be very hard to defend Israel soon. The entire world will turn on Israel, and we will be the peculiar ones. We will be them. We will be the persecuted ones, because we will be the ones that choose life. You know that we have been fighting evil because it's a culture of death, and the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob invites us to choose life. Please don't dismiss this. Please. You are listening to this broadcast for a reason. Where are the millions that should stand up and protect and walk with the Hasidic Jew this weekend? Where are the pastors in the church? Are they all in the walls of their church, or do they not understand that the church means all of us and what we do outside of those walls? You know, Poland, there were more Jews in Poland than anywhere else in the world. Warsaw was the New York. In 1939, there were 35 million people that lived in Poland. 3 million Jews in that population were killed by the Nazis and by some Poles who worked right alongside the Nazis. When I was there after a trip to Auschwitz, I asked the chief rabbi of Poland. There were only 7,000 people that stood out of 35 million. There were only 7,000. He looked at me and he said, "I know, what a miracle." Some were anti-Semitic, but most said nothing because of fear or duress, and some for professional gain. So many could have done something, so many did nothing. But 7,000. Are there 7,000 within the sound of my voice today that will stand in the end and risk everything? Stand to choose life. Stand to reject evil. and just make the next right choice.